Well, around half of all women working in retail and a quarter of men have reported being sexually harassed at work. Retail staff who took part in the Sydney University study reported customers as the offenders in more than a third of the cases. Reporter Nadia Daly has been following the story for The Business and she joins us now in the studio. Hi Nadia, so you've been speaking to retail employees. What have they told you about their experiences?
Yeah, it's really shocking to hear, but maybe not surprising for those who work in the sector. And retail workers in this study reported that sexual harassment was basically a part of their daily work. It was that common and that pervasive within the industry. So I spoke to workers like Hannah, who's a young woman and she's based in regional New South Wales, where as a teenager she started working at a major Australian retail chain. And she said from the very beginning, sexual harassment, especially from customers, was commonplace, whether it be comments, propositions, sexually suggestive remarks, right up to the experience of some colleagues of hers, which was stalking and much more serious behaviour. So when I spoke to her, she described it like this. Take a listen.
Everyone I knew that worked there had an experience with being sexually harassed at work. From like anything as small as just awkward comments that customers would make, or like as severe as people who I worked with actually being stalked by customers and having some really scary experiences like that.
Yeah, really scary experiences indeed. And I guess so many of these workers, like Hannah, would be young people just getting their start in their careers. Has there been any response from the industry so far?
Yeah, so the Australian Retailers Association, which is the industry group that represents retailers in the country, they said that, it isn't good enough, and they admitted much more needs to be done in this industry. As you said, many of the workers are young people and women. Statistically, it's a very common workplace for people to get their first job. And because of that, workplaces need to take some responsibility for protecting their workers, especially when they're young or vulnerable. So Paul Zara from the Australian Retailers Association said he wants to see more data collected, better training for workplaces around this issue, sexual harassment, and also better reporting mechanisms. So if something does happen to staff, and we know from this study that unfortunately it's likely it will because it's so common, if something does happen, that there's better ways for staff to report that and for things to get dealt with. I mean, one of the points that the woman Hannah we just heard from made is that if you're injured on the job, you fall over and say slip on tiles and hurt yourself, there's very clear ways to report that, but not so, according to her, for things like sexual harassment.
Leave it there, Nadia Daly. Thank you so much.
Thank you.